Welcome to Sum It Up, Sermon Updates Midweek. This is April 5th, and I'm going to be talking about my message from April 2nd, Clinging to Hope in the Storm. No storm is random, trivial, or without purpose. Do we really believe that? Do we really believe that we go through life and our life is lived on purpose? We like to believe that the blessings of God are on purpose and that God's watching out for us and He takes care of us in the many ways He does that. But do we really believe that the storms of life, that no storm is random, trivial, or without purpose? For me, this is transformative in my life. For many years, I felt as if something was going wrong when difficulty and hardship came in my life. And it's only been in the last few years of my life that I'm starting to understand that life is difficult and hard. It's not that God has forgotten us. It's not that difficulty is something that pops up from nowhere. It pops up from this world. We live in a broken world. We live in a world that is full of sin and the decay that happens because of that. And living in this imperfect world means there are times to where we are going to go through storms. One of the shocking things to me in my own life and the life that I observe in others is that we so often lose hope in the midst of these storms. And the stories that we've been looking at in the sermon series, the two accounts of Jesus and his disciples in a boat in the midst of a storm. One, actually, Jesus catches them while he's walking across the lake while they've been rowing for 9 hours against the wind and the waves. And the other story, Jesus is sleeping on a cushion while the wind and the waves are coming over the boat. Those stories remind us that there are things that are just bigger than us, the things that are very difficult for us to overcome, but not impossible to overcome. I wonder if those storms were supposed to do exactly what they did, test the faith of those gentlemen in the boats. I mean, that's what Jesus says after he comes to them and rescues them. He says, "Oh, you of little faith," or "How little faith do you have?" I think in many ways that I've been spoiled as a Christian living in a country where I can freely practice my religious perspective, where I can do the things that I want to without real fear of anybody telling me I can't or doing something to me because I have. One of the illustrations I used in this message was that of the Nicene Council from the 4th century, to where of the 318 delegates that showed up for that meeting, 318 representatives that wanted to talk about important issues in the church of the day, there were less than 12 of the 318 who had not been disfigured because of their faith. Did you hear that? Less than 12 of the 318. That means at least 306 delegates had lost eye or limb or leg because of their faith. Not because of life, but because of their faith. Wow. Clinging to hope in the storm, a part of it is getting perspective and understanding that no storm is random, trivial, or without purpose. Storms are going to come. I guarantee you that. You're going to go through hardship and you're going to go through difficulty. But the truth is, just like in the stories that we read from Matthew and Mark, Jesus can calm the storm. One of the issues that you have to contemplate is, are you even looking for what God is trying to do in the midst of the storm? Are you asking the question, why? Are you looking for how you might be growing in Christ or how you might be growing in compassion? Or you might just be understanding the sufferings of Christ better each and every day. In ancient church tradition, it was seen as almost a necessity to go through suffering so that we could understand what Jesus had done for us. And a lot of that has been lost in our modern age as we look back at the the work of Jesus in more of a theological and forensic perspective. By that I mean we look at what happened because of what Jesus did, not as much what Jesus went through to give us what he gave. And I think in the midst of that, we at times forget that he suffered in ways greater than we could ever suffer. I mean, he bore the sin of the world. The sin of the world. God was cut off from God. He was separated from his Father because of his sin. His Father turned his head away from him. Clinging to hope in the storm. Part of the secret to endure all of this is to remember that no storm is random, trivial, or without purpose. God has a purpose for it. Are you looking for it? Ask God to open your eyes that you might be able to see his purpose in the midst of your storm. God bless. See you Sunday.